Doctor, doctor. Letter, doctor.
It was about midnight, and I was sleeping alone in our little leaf and bamboo house. Agnes and Nurse Gibbs had run down to Rangoon for a day or two to do some shopping. The Hamiltons were in the mission bungalow some 500 yards away. I was a young man. I worked hard, long hours, and slept like a log. Therefore it took a moment or two for the cry,
Doctor, doctor.
to reach my brain. When it did, it took another moment or two for my sound-asleep body to respond. But at last I managed to throw back the covers and step out of bed. However, that was as far as I could get, and that was all I could do, for looking out of the propped-open bamboo window to the ground 6 feet below, there I saw 3 almost naked men. Their bodies were greased. Each held a gleaming sword-like knife in his right hand and a small oil lamp in his left. My eyes opened wide. My hair stood on end. My ears swelled out, and I stood there petrified. How long I stood there motionless I cannot tell, but little by little I became conscious that they were handing up to me a piece of paper and saying,
Letter. Doctor, doctor.
Little by little, encouraged by the fact that the men made no movement to indicate they had come to chop me up, I swallowed hard, stroked my hair down, patted my ears back into position, then reached out and took the letter. Quickly I lighted my lamp and read.
Dear Mr. Hare, an Indian marijuana addict has run amok here in Kamamong, and has chopped up a Burmese woman and her 12-year-old son. Bring all your needles and sutures and see what you can do. Baldwin, Tenasserim District Forest Officer.
Suddenly I was very much awake. I had met most of the government officers as they traveled up and down the district and stayed in the government rest house just 1 mile south of our mission, and I knew Mr. Baldwin. I tried getting more information from the greased-up messengers, but that was useless. They were Burmese and I couldn't understand their language. Neither could they understand my Korean. However, I sprang into action. I was clothed in seconds, and in a few minutes I had loaded all the needles and sutures I had into my medicine bag, and off we went. We walked single file, 2 of the greased messengers going ahead, and 1 following after me. I soon figured out that they had greased their bodies in case they came to grips with the crazed addict, who had disappeared after his brutal attack, and now might be anywhere. The men jumped at every crackling sound, and held their knives at the ready. I jumped too. Those crackling sounds could also be tigers, for this was tiger country. Fortunately, we saw neither the maniac nor a tiger, and in 20 minutes we rounded a curve in the jungle path and entered the village. The street was ablaze with a dozen bonfires. The villagers, pale-faced and fearful, stood around peering into the shadows.
The doctor has come,
Shouted those nearest, and the cry was taken up all through the village. From the groups near the first fire stepped the headman. He spoke Korean.
Oh, I'm so glad you've come.
He said,
It's terrible. I don't know if they are still alive or not.
as he led me toward the house where they were. He gave me the gruesome particulars. We reached the house. He opened the door and pushed me in.
I can't bear to look at them.
He said as he closed the door on me. With the light of my lantern I saw 2 bodies. The mother lay on her cotton mattress on the floor. The boy was on his mattress on the other side of the room. And there was a lot of blood. It was the first time I had seen so much human blood. It had a strange, heavy, sweet, nauseating smell. Suddenly the boy began to yell and shout. Oh ho! I said to myself. He is still alive anyway, so I'll look after him first. I stepped over his mother's body. She was motionless. Most likely dead, I said to myself. As my foot stepped onto her mattress, the blood oozed out around my shoe, and as it did I felt my head begin to swim. Around and around it went. I realized that I was about to faint. I had to do something. I couldn't just fall down there in the middle of this mess. So I talked out loud and severely to myself, No, you don't, Dr. Rabbit. This is no time or place to faint. Keep your wits about you. It worked. In a few seconds I was kneeling by the frightened boy, doing my best to comfort him. There was a horrible gash in his neck, but neither the jugular vein nor the artery had been severed. 2 fingers of one hand had been cut right through the bones, but in a very few minutes I had a bandage on his neck and a splint on his fingers. I took him to the door and handed him to the headman. Please go and call Mr. Baldwin, I said. Tell him I need his help. In a very quick minute, Mr. Baldwin opened the door. He took one look and began to say,
I say. Hare, say, you've got.
His voice faltered. I looked up. His face was as white as a sheet. I realized he was going to faint, and if he did, he would fall right into the middle of everything. I sprang to his help and succeeded in catching him as he fell limp into my arms. I said to the headman, put some cold water on his face and have the men carry him back to the rest house. Then addressing the crowd, I said, I need help. Isn't there anyone who will come and help me? For what seemed like a very long moment, no one moved. Then a little old grandma who spoke Korean volunteered.
I'll come and help you, doctor.
She said,
I'll come. I'm so old and skinny, the evil spirits couldn't do anything to me anyway.
We knelt one on each side of the apparently dead woman. Her forehead was split right open till I could see the tissue under the skull bone. Her left cheek was sliced almost off, just hanging by the flesh of the lower jaw, and through the hole I could see her teeth and tongue. The flesh of her right arm had been opened up to the bone on two sides of the humerus bone. Her left arm had been hacked right off below the elbow. I looked at my little old lady helper, but nothing upset her. She was game. She knew exactly how to help. Holding, tying, pinning up the bandages. We could feel no pulse in the right arm. We could detect no heartbeat. But from the severed forearm, the bleeding still came in feeble jerks. Maybe she is still alive, I whispered.
Maybe,
Grunted my helper. First, we put a tourniquet on the severed arm and stopped the bleeding. Then we carefully bound up the split forehead, and then we bound the almost severed cheek into position. Last, we bound the flesh of the upper right arm into position. Get me some hot milk, I whispered. In a few minutes it was brought. I put a teaspoonful to the lips of the apparently dead woman, and she swallowed it. I gave her another and another and another. She swallowed half a cup of warm milk. Then she opened her eyes and looked at me. Another spoonful or two, and then she spoke.
I'm not going to die.
She said slowly and painfully. At once I went into conference with the headman. Look here, I said. I don't have enough sutures to sew her up. I've just been able to give her first aid,
The nearest government hospital is 60 miles down the river.
said the headman hopelessly. It's a police case, I said. I think you ought to send her there anyway.
Do you think she can live that long?
I think it is a miracle she has lived this long. She must have been attacked more than an hour ago.
More light to others.
Well, she is alive now. Let us get things moving, I urged. The headman did get things moving. He had some men make a bamboo litter and we placed the patient on it. He commandeered the largest canoe in the village and selected 6 of the strongest men to paddle it downstream. I wrote a letter to the doctor at the Pond Government Hospital, and at 2:30 a.m. I pushed them off and wished them a good trip. As the canoe bearing the unfortunate woman sped off and slowly disappeared in the darkness, I stood there for a moment alone with my thoughts. Then suddenly there was the sound of running, and a voice coming toward me called.
Doctor, do you want this?
It was too dark to see what the man was bringing me, but I put out my hands anyway to receive what he had for me. Into my hands he placed the cold dead arm that had been hacked off. No, no, I gasped. We can't do anything with that anymore. Take it away and bury it. Slowly I turned and made my way to Mr. Baldwin in the government rest house. He was wide-eyed and pale.
Sit down, Mr. Hare.
He said,
And tell me all about it.
So I did. I sat down and told him about the poor woman, and how badly she was cut up. I told him about the game little old lady who helped me put the bandages on. I told him I felt as if a corpse had opened its eyes and spoken to me, and ended with the dead arm being placed in my hands. Mr. Baldwin shuddered.
I don't see how you can do it.
He said. Then I was quiet for a few moments, for I didn't want to tell him how near I had come to keeling over and fainting myself. But I can tell you now, that was my graduation. After that, I was a real jungle doctor. No amount of blood, no degree of being burned or mauled by tigers or gored by buffaloes or elephants, ever made my head go round or my heart feel like fainting anymore. Mr. Baldwin and I talked for 2 or 3 hours exchanging stories of devil trees and devil doctors, evil spirits and ghosts, and such things that are common experiences of the people in the jungle villages. At last the dawn broke, and I took my way back to my leaf and bamboo house. After washing up and shaving, I ran over to the Hamiltons and told them of the exciting graduation exercises for Dr. Rabbit. In a few days, Agnes and Nurse Gibbs returned from the city. They both smiled their approval of my act of midnight mercy. By this time, I also had the news that the man who had run amok had been caught and was in jail, and that the poor woman reached the government hospital still alive and had been sewn up, but her life was hanging in the balance. So also was the addict's life hanging in the balance, for if the woman died, he would be hanged, and if she lived, he would be given a life sentence in the Andaman Island Penitentiary. Then, because the days were so full of so many other interesting cases, we just forgot about this attempted murder case. 6 weeks went by. One morning, while I was busy treating patients with sore eyes, ringworm, and fever, up the stairs into the dispensary came a woman with her face all scarred like a crazy patchwork quilt. The scars didn't look like smallpox scars or tiger claw scars. I looked at her with a puzzled expression on my face till she said,
Doctor, don't you remember me?
I replied, "No, Auntie. I can't remember ever seeing anyone with such strange-looking scars on her face." Then, with a deft movement, she threw her shawl from her left arm, revealing a stump where once her arm had been hacked off.
Well, now do you know me?
She cried as tears welled up in her eyes. Yes, then I remembered. I couldn't talk for a moment as the memories of that midnight nightmare rushed into my mind. And while I stood there, before I could stop her, she fell to her knees at my feet, and putting her one good arm around them, she sobbed out her thanks.
Or, if you hadn't come that night when the marijuana fiend ran amok and cut me up, I surely would have died. But you weren't afraid of the night. You weren't afraid of the tigers. You came, and now my son and I both live. I.
Chorused the other patients who had gathered around.
Of course he came. Of course you live. Isn't his name Dr. Rabbit?
Said an old man. Everyone laughed. I did too and wondered what was coming next.
Didn't the rabbit save the elephant's life when the tiger was going to eat him all up?
I.
Chorused the group.
And didn't the rabbit tell the horse how to get 2 sets of teeth so he could whinny?
Went on the old one.
I.
Chorused the group.
And didn't grandfather rabbit overcome grandfather alligator and pull his tongue out and plant it on the tall tree?
I.
Chorused the group louder than ever.
And didn't the rabbit frighten the tiger so that he ran away with the monkey tied on his back, and the jungle bushes were so thick that the monkey's head and arms kept catching in the branches, and his stomach was stretched so much that to this day it is the thinnest part of his body?
I.
And wasn't the rabbit the best lawyer? And didn't he always win his cases?
I.
And wasn't the rabbit the best doctor? And didn't his medicine cure every disease?
I.
Suddenly I realized that the old man was referring to their animal folklore tales. I had read some of them already in my study of the Kuran language, and had noticed with some satisfaction that the rabbit was believed to have very superior talents. Still, I was hardly prepared for what he said next.
Well then, isn't this white doctor our Dr. Rabbit?
I.
And won't he overcome all our sickness enemies?
I.
And won't we all get better if we eat his medicine?
I.
Chorused the group, and smiling to each other they said,
Sure. He's our Dr. Rabbit. He's our Dr. Rabbit.
That evening in our little bamboo and leaf home, I said to Agnes, I sure do like these people, she said.
I do too.
And I said, you know, I feel I belong right here. And she said,
I do too.
funny, isn't it? They're calling me their Dr. Rabbit.
Yes, and they are calling me their Mama Rabbit too. Funny, isn't it?
Agnes sighed a happy sigh.